About a year and a half ago, my fiance, 28-year-old female, and I, 27-year-old female, started planning our wedding. We wanted a small, intimate affair with only 65 guests, including the wedding party. My sister, 30-year-old female, who stays across the country, was supposed to be my maid of honor, and she enthusiastically helped with the planning until she faced a serious health issue about a month ago. Due to her health problems, my sister was advised not to travel after her surgeries, which meant she would miss the wedding. After discussing it with my fiance, I offered to postpone the wedding so my sister could attend, but she insisted we stick to our original plans because she knew how important they were to me. I told her that I would be replacing her as the maid of honor with my childhood friend, and she was perfectly okay with it. Fast forward to 2 days ago, our wedding day. Everything seemed perfect until I spotted my sister sitting with my parents during the ceremony. It turns out she had gotten clearance from her doctor to travel last minute and surprised us by showing up. I was really happy to see her. After the ceremony, she came over to talk to me and told me everything. Amidst all the hugs and congratulations, I completely forgot that we had not planned for her to be there. Due to the limited number of people at the wedding, we had strict seating charts and catered meals for everyone, as well as the wedding favors. It turns out my sister didn't get to eat that night and just ate a few of the table appetizers, which were very small. She also didn't have a proper chair, and one of the venue workers got her a completely mismatching one from elsewhere, and she had to squeeze in next to our cousin. The wedding party and us, total 9 people, all sat at the front of the hall on a long table facing everyone. This morning, my sister calmly called and explained how excluded she felt at the wedding. I told her that yes, we didn't have extra favors/seats because of how strictly we budgeted for it. She understood but also felt that I could have been more inclusive by asking her to sit at the bridal table since she was originally supposed to be the maid of honor or getting her a meal. She felt very judged the whole night, and the least I could do was try to include her after she flew all the way down. I apologized profusely because had I not been so caught up with everything, I would have definitely tried to get her a meal from somewhere. But I also explained to her that she wouldn't have been able to sit with the wedding party as we had a color scheme that she didn't match, and that she should know how detailed the guest list was for favors, seats. The conversation got quite heated and she said, "Well, I guess it would have been better for you if I was still bedridden and I didn't come at all," and abruptly hung up the phone, though I know that line was probably an emotional outburst because of how hurt she was. Am I the idiot for not including my sister at my wedding? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. My dad had told me he wasn't coming to my wedding, fine. Day before comes and my mom and I are setting up the venue, making place settings, etc. I mentioned having an extra set of stuff that would have been for my dad, but that I guess we didn't need it anymore. My mom finally mentioned that my dad wanted to surprise me by showing up for my wedding. He had gotten into town earlier in the week and told her, but not me. He's lucky I knew so that we had a spot for him. But if he hadn't have tried to get her in on his weird grand gesture, then he wouldn't have even had a place to sit. That's what happens when you say you can't go. People plan for you not to be there. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. You for the color scheme comment. I mean, really? That's an reason to not invite her to sit at the head table. If that truly went through your head at your wedding and wasn't just a heat of the moment thing, yikes, dude, you're shallower than a kiddie pool. Otherwise, I do think that wedding guests often don't understand that they can't just show up last minute. These things are usually planned out enough that it's not easy to add another chair and get more food, especially when you're paying by head for the caterer and don't want or remember to take time away from the festivities to go reconfigure seating or negotiate for an extra plate. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all your support. It's been a week since my wedding day, and I've got some updates to share with you. After the heated phone call with my sister, I tried to give her some space to cool off. I knew she was hurt, and I felt terrible about how things had played out. A couple of days later, I decided to reach out to her again, hoping we could talk things through calmly. When I called her, she picked up, but sounded distant. I apologized again for not being more attentive to her needs at the wedding and explained that I never meant to make her feel excluded. She listened, but didn't say much. I suggested that we meet up in person to discuss things further, but she told me she needed more time to process everything. Over the next few days, I tried to keep myself busy with work and settling into married life with my wife. But my sister's words kept echoing in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had let her down when she needed me the most. As the week went on, I started to notice some odd behavior from my parents. They seemed to be avoiding my calls and were short with me when we did talk. I couldn't figure out what was going on until my cousin called me with some shocking news. It turns out that my sister had been telling our family a very different story about what happened at the wedding. She claimed that I had intentionally excluded her and made her feel unwelcome. She even went as far as to say that I had told her she couldn't sit with the wedding party because she didn't match the color scheme. I was stunned. I couldn't believe that my sister would twist the truth like that. I tried to call her to confront her about it, but she wouldn't pick up. I left her several messages, but she never responded. Meanwhile, my parents had apparently taken my sister's side in the matter. They called me and expressed their disappointment in how I had treated her. They said they couldn't believe I would be so insensitive to my own sister, especially after everything she had been through with her health issues. I tried to explain my side of the story, but they wouldn't listen. They told me that until I made things right with my sister, they didn't want to speak to me. I was devastated. I had never had a falling out with my family like this before. As I reflected on everything that had happened, I started to realize that there had been some underlying tensions in my relationship with my sister for a while. Growing up, she had always been the more outgoing and popular one, while I was more introverted and focused on my studies. She would often tease me about being a nerd and not having many friends. When I came out as gay in college, my sister was initially supportive. But as time went on, I noticed that she would make little comments here and there about how I was different now. She would ask me if I was sure about my sexuality and if I had considered dating men instead. I had always brushed off these comments, thinking she was just trying to understand my perspective. But now I couldn't help but wonder if there was more to it than that. Maybe she had always harbored some resentment towards me for being different, and the wedding incident had just brought those feelings to the surface. I knew I needed to have a real conversation with my sister about all of this. But every time I tried to reach out, she would ignore me or make excuses not to talk. It was like she had completely shut me out of her life. As the days turned into weeks, I started to feel more and more alone. My wife was supportive, but she couldn't fully understand what I was going through. I felt like I had lost not just my sister, but my entire family. I knew I needed to find a way to make things right, but I didn't know where to start. The thought of losing my family forever was too much to bear, but I also couldn't ignore the hurt and betrayal I felt. As I sit here writing this update, I still don't have all the answers, but I know that I can't give up on my relationship with my sister and my family. I'm going to keep trying to reach out, even if it takes time. I hope that eventually we can find a way to heal and move forward together. Thanks for reading, everyone. I'll keep you updated on how things go. My nephew's girlfriend tries to dictate my dinner menu, so I cook up a plan and serve her a taste of her own medicine. By exposing her manipulative ways to the whole family and watching her lose her grip, I, 35 years old, invited my nephew, 18 years old, and his girlfriend, 21 years old, over for dinner tonight. I do this with my niece and nephew and their significant others every few months just because it's a good way to catch up on things. I like to cook, and they enjoy home-cooked meals without having to lift a finger or do dishes. Young people with full-time jobs. I understand that they don't cook every night. My nephew has a new girlfriend, and I invited her along. Since she is an extremely picky eater, not because of mental health issues or eating disorders or anything, just extremely picky, I asked her beforehand what she liked to eat and catered a full meal to her liking with her food preferences. I spent the whole day doing groceries and cooking today since it's my only day off from work. And like I said, I enjoy cooking, so I don't mind this at all. I also invited my mother so she can see her grandson, and I always make way too much food anyway. I had just finished everything in preparation that I could when my nephew calls, and I can tell he's sort of awkward in calling. I ask him what's up, and he very carefully asked me if it's okay that we just go out for pizza instead tonight. I explained to him that I'd rather not since I've been cooking all day and it'll just go to waste. He explains to me that his girlfriend only likes the foods she told me she liked when they come from fast food places, and she's worried she won't like it, so she'd rather either not come at all or go out for pizza implied that I'm paying for all the pizza as well. I can tell he's sorry for the drama, but I inform him that I'm just not going to budge on this. I won't be springing for pizza when I've been cooking all day, and she doesn't have to come then. I'll just see him and my mom, but she would prefer him staying home as well if I won't cater to her needs. And since the car is in her name, I would have to go pick him up, which is half an hour back and forth for me at this point and not ideal. At this point, I was annoyed and told her she was kind of being disrespectful and entitled, and he said he agreed but just couldn't deal with her drama right now. I told my mom this, and she said that it's financially no problem for me to spring for the pizzas, and I could just portion out the food and put it in the freezer. It's about all of us being together, not about what we actually eat, and that I was being a jerk for not accommodating my guest. So am I the jerk? Update. Wow, this blew up more than I thought it would. I ended up following the advice given here and texted my nephew that if he still wanted to come by himself, I'd spring for an Uber for him. He basically just texted me a bunch of hearts back, so he also loved the idea. I also ended up telling my mom the dinner was off. That way I could have the alone time with him. As he is also my godson, we're very close. He said his girlfriend wasn't happy he was leaving her for the night, but apparently he had told her to stick it because he was over her drama. We had a great dinner together, just the two of us, and he talked a lot about his doubts in his relationship. He is considering breaking up with her, not just over this, but many other things. It ended up being a really fun evening, just the two of us, and I sent him home with a big batch of Auntie's special brown butter brownies, just yummy special, not special D, before you all ask LOL. So thanks everybody for all the great advice. Small edit. Since people keep asking me, I got the brownie recipe off of TikTok about a year ago, and the creator's name is Broma Bakery. Enjoy, guys. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your poor nephew sounds rightfully embarrassed over his entitled and rude girlfriend. Hopefully, she either matures or he leaves. I like the other poster's suggestion to get an Uber for the nephew to come to dinner, if money isn't the issue for you. Comment 2. Not the idiot, and if I were your nephew, this would have been grounds to break up with her. The absolute entitlement, disrespect, and nonsense of this is insane. Personally, I'd never invite her to anything again. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a couple of weeks since my last update, and I wanted to fill you in on what's been happening. Thanks for all the support and advice you gave me last time. So after that dinner with my nephew, things took a bit of a turn. A few days later, he called me up sounding pretty upset. Turns out his girlfriend had found out about our little heart-to-heart and was furious. She accused him of going behind her back and talking badly about her to me. My nephew tried to explain that he just needed some advice and a listening ear, but she wasn't having it. Now here's where things get complicated. Apparently, this girlfriend of his has a bit of a history with manipulation and controlling behavior. My nephew confided in me that she's been trying to isolate him from his friends and family, and this whole dinner fiasco just gave her more ammunition. She started spreading rumors about me, saying that I was trying to sabotage their relationship and turn my nephew against her. I was pretty shocked when I heard this. I mean, I was just trying to be there for my nephew and give him a safe space to talk. I never intended to cause any drama or come between them, but now I was being painted as the villain in their story. Things came to a head when my sister, my nephew's mom, called me up one day. She was in tears telling me that my nephew had moved out of their house and in with his girlfriend. Apparently, the girlfriend had given him an ultimatum. Either he cuts ties with me and his family, or she's done with him. And he chose her. I was devastated. I couldn't believe that my nephew, who I've always been so close with, would just turn his back on us like that. I tried reaching out to him, but he wouldn't respond to my calls or texts. It was like he had just disappeared from our lives. Looking back, I realized that there were signs that this girlfriend was trouble from the start. My nephew had mentioned a few times that she was jealous and possessive, but I never thought it would get this bad. I can't help but feel like I should have done more to protect him, to help him see what was really going on. But at the same time, I know that he's an adult now and has to make his own choices. As much as it hurts, I have to respect his decision, even if I don't agree with it. I just hope that he realizes sooner rather than later that this girl is no good for him, and that he has a family who loves and supports him no matter what. In the meantime, I'm trying to focus on the rest of my family and the people who are still in my life. My mom has been a great support through all of this, and we've been spending more time together, just talking and processing everything that's happened. I'm also trying to take care of myself and not let this whole situation consume me. I've been throwing myself into my work and my hobbies, just trying to keep my mind occupied. It's not easy, but I know I have to keep moving forward. So that's where things are at right now. It's been a tough couple of weeks, and I know there's still a long road ahead. But I'm trying to stay hopeful and believe that eventually my nephew will come around and realize that his family is here for him, no matter what. Anyway, thanks for listening and for all your support. It means a lot to me to have this community to turn to during times like these. I'll keep you all updated if anything changes, but for now, I'm just taking things one day at a time. My wife ignored her health and gained weight, so I stopped enabling her, and she finally got the wake-up call she needed. This morning, I refused to help my wife get up out of bed. For context, my wife is very overweight. I'm not here to complain about this fact. She's been large since I first met her, and I've always found her attractive. But she has gained a significant amount of weight over the last 4 years. Shortly before our daughter was born in 2019, my wife weighed in at an appointment and was 428 pounds. This was a shock to me. I knew she had gained a lot of weight since we met, but she is private about it, so I never heard a number. Once she and our daughter were home, we tried to take healthy steps to improve ourselves together. She recovered well from her pregnancy and was set to resume her job in March of 2020. Infection 19 changed that plan. After 1 week back at her job, she was furloughed for 2 weeks. At the end of that period, they fired her. Luckily, my job went remote, and I make enough to support our family. For the past 4 years, she has become increasingly reclusive. When I have offered to take time off to give her a break from the kids, she has declined. We started taking staycations in the summer of 2020, and even once the pandemic was over, she has said she prefers staying at home to traveling. Her weight has noticeably increased during this time. I don't have a number, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's now over 500 pounds. Her mobility has suffered as well. She needs breaks when we take walks. We've had to put wall handles in our bathroom, and the last few months she needs help to get out of bed in the morning. When I've tried to address this with her, she admits it's a problem, but she downplays its severity. Our marriage is great. She is a great mother to our 2 children. There's nothing, at least nothing she's shared under the surface. She says she just likes to eat and struggles to control her portions and snacking. This most recent incident started because yesterday evening, as we were taking our kids to the park, she insisted that I drive instead of her. Her insistence weirded me out, and I asked her about it later when we were going to bed. She informed me that she's begun struggling to fit behind the wheel of our family car. This really freaked me out, and we had a long conversation before going to sleep. She again denied anything was wrong, and when I suggested she visit the doctor to get a better picture of her health, she was pretty annoyed. I was upset and told her to think about how she would take care of the kids if something happened to me. It's not safe for her to rely on me for so much. She kept ignoring me and went to sleep. I stayed up and stewed a little bit. This morning, to prove a point, I refused to help her out of bed. I just went into the bathroom. She was able to get up eventually, but it took a few attempts and she was crying and begging for help. I went to work in my home office, and since I got off work, she has been unwilling to talk to me. I think maybe I let my emotions get the best of me and should have addressed this differently. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Her lifestyle has spiraled out of control because she doesn't want to see the doctor. Tell her not to go to the doctor for herself. Tell her to go to the doctor for your kids and you. Unless she gets her weight under control, you are going to lose your wife and the kids their mother. I understand you love her regardless, but unless something changes, the stress she is putting on her heart is not going to end well in the long run. You did not let your emotions get the best of you. I would be terrified if my wife didn't care about her health and wanted to do something to help her live longer. Her path now isn't sustainable. Something is going to give, and unless this gets addressed, I don't see happy times in the future. Comment 2. It's a really tough situation, and I think you are handling it well. Obesity is a health concern that needs to be addressed. Enabling her will not help. I was obese to the point I got diabetes and liver disease. It woke me up, and I decided to get gastric sleeve. It was the best decision I ever made. I am a huge advocate for using surgery as a tool for weight loss. It's a tough subject to approach because it's embarrassing to have other people notice or comment, especially those you love. My husband and father brought it up to me, and it hurt at first, but now I am so thankful to have my body and life back. Not sure if that was helpful, but I hope she finds help soon. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a tough few months since I refused to help my wife out of bed that morning. I thought I was doing the right thing by trying to push her to be more independent, but it really backfired. After that incident, my wife became even more withdrawn. She stopped leaving the bedroom altogether, relying on me to bring her meals and help her to the bathroom. I tried to apologize and explain that I was just worried about her health, but she wouldn't listen. She said I had humiliated her and broken her trust. As the weeks went by, her weight continued to increase. She was eating more than ever, and I noticed she was having trouble breathing, even while sitting still. I begged her to see a doctor, but she refused. She said she was too embarrassed to leave the house. One night, I woke up to find her gasping for air. I called an ambulance and they rushed her to the hospital. The doctor said she had developed severe sleep apnea and was at risk of heart failure. They put her on a ventilator and said she needed to lose weight immediately. I was devastated. I felt like I had failed her as a husband. If only I had been more supportive, maybe things wouldn't have gotten so bad. I spent every day at the hospital, holding her hand and praying for her recovery. After a week, she was stable enough to come home, but she needed round-the-clock care. I took a leave of absence from work to be with her. It was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. I had to help her with everything, from bathing to using the bathroom. She was too weak to even sit up on her own. As I cared for her, I started to realize how much I had taken her for granted. She had always been there for me and our kids, putting our needs before her own. And now, when she needed me most, I had let her down. I thought back to when we first met, how vibrant and full of life she had been. She had always struggled with her weight, but it had never defined her. She was smart, funny, and kind. But somewhere along the way, she had lost herself, and I hadn't been there to help her find her way back. I knew I had to do better. I started researching weight loss programs and therapists who specialized in eating disorders. I talked to our kids about how we needed to support their mom and show her how much we loved her. It's been a long road, but slowly my wife has started to improve. She's lost some weight and is able to move around a bit more. We've started going to therapy together, working through the issues that led to her weight gain in the first place. I know we still have a long way to go, but I'm committed to being there for her every step of the way. I realize now that love isn't about trying to change someone, but about accepting them for who they are and supporting them through their struggles. Looking back, I wish I had handled things differently that morning. I wish I had been more patient and understanding, but I'm grateful for the wake-up call it gave me. It made me realize how much my wife means to me and how much I'm willing to fight for our family. Thanks for reading and for all your support. It means more than you know. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.